The clock's hand sliced through the silence like a knife, pointing accusingly at 2 a.m. when the front door creaked open. I sat in the dim glow of the living room lamp, my knuckles white around a glass of untouched whiskey, the air thick with the scent of her perfume. Cheap, floral, and laced with something foreign, something that wasn't ours. Elena stumbled in, her heels clicking unevenly on the hardwood, her lipstick smudged like a fresh wound. She saw me and froze, her eyes widening not with guilt, but with that defiant spark I'd come to loathe. "Alex," she slurred, tossing her purse onto the couch. "I got the attention I needed tonight." The words landed like a slap, raw and unfiltered, confirming every shadowed doubt that had gnawed at me for months. The late nights, the whispered calls, the way she'd recoil from my touch like it burned. Betrayal bloomed in my chest, hot and visceral, a humiliation so profound it stripped me bare. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I stood, my voice a low thunder. "Your luggage is packed." Her laugh, sharp, mocking, echoed as she sauntered past me toward the stairs, but I was already fracturing inside. The man I'd been shattering into something sharper, something vengeful. In that moment, as the door to our bedroom clicked shut behind her oblivious form, I vowed she would pay, not with tears, but with the slow unraveling of everything she held dear. The days blurred into a haze of calculated fury after that night. Elena didn't leave, not immediately. She lingered like a ghost in our home, her presence a deliberate taunt, as if testing how far she could push before I snapped. But I didn't snap. I simmered. Revenge wasn't a wildfire for me. It was a toxin, seeping into my veins, reshaping me from the inside out. By morning, I'd already texted my lawyer, a bulldog named Marcus who'd handled my father's messy divorce years ago. Full custody if we had kids. I told him over coffee that tasted like ash. Assets frozen. Her name scrubbed from everything. But that was the legal blade, clean, impersonal. I craved something filthier, something that would mirror the rot she'd planted in our marriage. Work became my first battlefield. I was a mid-level exec at a tech firm, nothing glamorous, but Elena had always flaunted her socialite dreams, schmoozing at galas on my dime. I'd seen the photos on her phone, the ones she'd forgotten to delete, of her draped over him, a slick real estate broker named Victor with a smile like a shark's. So I started digging. Late nights in my home office, the glow of my laptop the only light, I pored over public records, LinkedIn profiles, anything I could unearth without crossing into illegality. Yet, Victor's firm was teetering. Whispers of embezzlement floated in industry forums. An anonymous tip to the right regulator, backed by evidence I'd fabricate from half-truths? It could topple him. The thought coiled in my gut, a serpent whispering promises of justice. But as I typed, my hands trembled, not from fear, but from the thrill, the dark electricity that made my heart race for the first time since her betrayal. It ate at me, that burden. Sleep evaded me like a thief, replaced by visions of her laughter in someone else's arms. I'd wake drenched in sweat, replaying her words. I got the attention I needed. Attention. As if our 10 years, nights I'd slaved over dinners she barely ate, vacations I'd planned to keep her eyes on me, meant nothing. The injustice festered, turning inward. My reflection in the mirror grew hollow-eyed, my once steady hands now prone to fits of rage. I'd smash a mug against the sink, shards scattering like my shattered trust, then methodically sweep them up, because revenge demanded precision, not chaos. It rippled outward, poisoning those around me. My sister, Lila, noticed first. She dropped by unannounced one Sunday, her arms laden with groceries as if normalcy could stitch us back together. "Alex, you look like hell," she said, unpacking apples that rolled across the counter like accusations. I shrugged it off, but she pressed, her voice soft with worry. "Elena's still here?" "After everything." I nodded, jaw clenched, and that's when the dam cracked. I told her fragments, the late nights, the packed bags, the venom in Elena's voice. Lila's eyes filled, but not with pity for me. For Elena, the sister-in-law she'd once adored. "Fight for her, Alex. Or let her go." "Let her go?" The words ignited something feral. "She doesn't deserve mercy," I snarled, slamming a fist on the table. Lila recoiled, her face paling as if she'd glimpsed the stranger I'd become. "This isn't you," she whispered, gathering her things with hurried grace. Revenge will hollow you out. She left without a hug, the door clicking shut like a verdict. That night, alone, I stared at the ceiling, torn between the cold logic of justice, a swift divorce, a clean break, and the siren call of destruction. Justice would free me, but it wouldn't scar her soul like she'd scarred mine. Destruction? It whispered of her tears, her ruin, and in that shadowed room, with Lila's words echoing, I chose the abyss. I'd burn it all. The planning deepened. I mirrored her infidelity with meticulous sabotage. Elena loved her charity galas, the spotlight that made her feel alive. I volunteered as a donor coordinator for the next one, anonymous at first, then pulling strings to donate tainted funds, traced back to Victor's firm, whispers of scandal rippling through the crowd. She called me from the event, hysterical. What the hell, Alex? They're questioning my connections. I feigned concern over the phone, my voice steady as steel. Sounds rough, love. Need a ride. She hung up, but I heard the fracture in her breath. It fueled me, that first taste of her unraveling. Yet the cost mounted. Colleagues at work sensed my distraction. My boss pulled me aside after a meeting where I snapped at a junior over nothing. Get your head in the game, Alex. This bitterness, it's killing your edge. Edge. It was sharpening me into a weapon. But his words lingered, a thorn in the poison. Friends drifted, invitations dried up. Who wants the man plotting in shadows? Still, I pressed on, the weight of it bowing my shoulders, driving every decision. Grocery runs became reconnaissance, spotting Victor's car in the lot, noting his routines. Elena's pleas for space turned to accusations. You're obsessed. Obsessed? No. Consumed. And as the chapter of our life bled into the next, I realized the truth. Revenge wasn't just for her. It was my oxygen now, the only thing keeping the void at bay. Months carved into me like a chisel, each day a deliberate stroke in my masterpiece of malice. Elena finally slithered out after the gala fiasco, her designer bags bulging with half our life. Victor's penthouse her new cage. But freedom? Illusion. I'd ensured that. Anonymous emails to his board, laced with doctored ledgers showing kickbacks from her charity friends, funds she'd funneled for thrills. Victor's empire cracked. Headlines screamed, real estate mogul faces fraud probe. She texted me once, a single barb. You did this. Monster. I deleted it, but saved the screenshot, a trophy in my digital vault. The burden had evolved now, not just eating away, but devouring. My apartment, once our home, echoed with ghosts. I moved to a sterile loft downtown, walls bare as my conscience. Sleep came in fits, haunted by her face. Not the loving one from our wedding, but twisted in that 2 a.m. smirk. It drove me. Promotions chased with ruthless ambition, deals sealed with a predator's grin. Success tasted like bile, hollow without her witnessing the fall. The toll on others sharpened into shrapnel. Lila cut contact after I exploded during a family dinner. My mother's gentle probe about moving on met with my venom. Moving on? While she parades with that scum? Mom's hand trembled on her wine glass, tears carving rivers down her lined face. Alex, this hate, it's killing us all. Dad pulled me aside later, his voice gravel. Son, revenge is a debt you pay twice. Their eyes, once warm with pride, now held fear, of the sun turned specter. I stormed out, the night air slapping my skin like judgment. In the car, engine roaring, I gripped the wheel until my fingers ached. The internal war raging. Justice screamed for the courts. Alimony slashed, her reputation in tatters via affidavits. But destruction? It sang of deeper cuts, exposing her secrets to her precious social circle, the affairs beyond Victor, the debts she'd hidden. Torn in that leather seat, rain lashing the windshield like tears I wouldn't shed, I waited. Justice would mend the wound, leave a scar. Destruction would excise the rot, but risk gangrene in my soul. The serpent won again. She started this fire. I muttered to the empty car. I'll fan the flames till nothing's left. The turning point came not as light, but as gasoline, an unexpected truth that poured accelerant on my blaze. A private investigator I'd hired, a grizzled ex-cop named Harlan, delivered the package unceremoniously, a USB drive and photos. More than you thought, pal, he grunted, lighting a smoke in my doorway. I plugged it in alone, the the screen blooming with horrors. Not just Victor, dozens. Texts from years back, our anniversary nights when she'd claimed girls' trips. Videos, grainy but damning, of her in hotel rooms, laughing as she dismantled our vows. And the kicker, forged documents, her name on offshore accounts siphoning my bonuses for her escapades. Betrayal layered on betrayal, injustice compounded. No kindness here, no plea for understanding, just fuel. I laughed, a broken sound, as rage crested. Question revenge? It was the only truth left. Harlan watched me, impassive. This'll break her. You sure? I nodded, sealing the envelope for her friends, the gala crowd, her family. Break her? I'll shatter her world. The climax built like a storm, unleashing in Victor's opulent office downtown. I'd finagled a meeting under false pretenses, a settlement for the divorce, Elena in tow. She arrived first, eyes darting, Victor flanking her like a shield. I entered last, dossier in hand, the air electric with unspoken dread. Alex, she breathed, voice of fragile thread. We can talk this out. Talk. The word ignited me. I flung the photos across the desk, her gasps mingling with Victor's curses. Attention you needed? I snarled, voice echoing off glass walls. Take it all in, every lie, every theft. Victor lunged, but security, my call, hauled him back as sirens wailed outside, my tips to the feds blooming into raids. Elena crumpled, mascara rivers, begging. Please, I was lost. Lost. I leaned in, breath hot on her face. Now you're found, in ruins. No mercy in my eyes, only the cold satisfaction of her empire crumbling. As cops cuffed Victor, her world imploded. Friends' calls flooding with disgust, family disowning, assets seized. I walked out into the rain, her sobs fading, the weight lifting, not gone, but transmuted into power. In the aftermath, resolution settled like ash. She vanished into obscurity, a tabloid footnote, while I rose, promoted, untethered, a man forged in fire. The burden? It lingered, a shadow companion, shaping solitude into strength. Friends returned warily, family tentatively, but I was changed, harder, unbreakable. The ember's shadow. In the end, revenge carves a path of exquisite torment, where the victor's triumph is forever stained by the hollow echo of what was lost. A reminder that while it may topple empires, it erects fortresses around the heart, isolating the avenger in a kingdom of their own making. Moral of the story. Revenge is a blade that cuts deepest into the hand that wields it, turning betrayal's wound into a lifelong scar of solitary fury.